Just give me a few more minutes, and I'm just going to summarize everything because we're going on to a new subject when we come back next week. When I was a kid, I loved playing a game called Stratego. Stratego is kind of like Capture the Flag. It's a board game, and it's kind of like Capture the Flag and chess, maybe a couple other games, all rolled into one. And you get these little military pieces, and you hide your flag. That's the Capture the Flag part. And you have bombs, and you put bombs around so that if they go to get your flag, they hit the bomb, they blow up. And there's spies. And there's, each player has a number value, and each player has a different responsibility or position that it can do. It can do different things. And so the whole goal is to get from this side of the board to this side of the board. That's the game of Stratego and Capture the Flag. And how many have played Stratego before? Yeah. Maybe we can break that game out. Someone want to bring that in. That might be a fun warfare kind of strategy game to get to know. Here's the thing. Here's how Stratego plays into this warfare thing. You're born, and then you die. And you're conceived, and the warfare begins the moment you're conceived. That's why there's such an issue about abortion today in the world. It's to kill people. There's an enemy, a very real enemy, who hates you, and you survived all of that, and so now you begin to grow. And from the time you're a little kid and you're in your developmental year, all kinds of things happen, from abuse to neglect to being marred by tragedy, being marred by sickness, or being marred by the way people treat you and the way things happen, the way your parents raised you. All of that's part of the war. And then this whole part, somewhere in here, you find Jesus, you meet Jesus. And you realize, I'm in war. There's a target painted on me. It was put on me from conception, and there's a war against me, and you got to navigate it. And if you look at the board, there's pitted areas where bombs have gone off. You can see it's a real battlefield. There's false teaching. There's false brethren, false churches, and God lets it happen. He doesn't hide it. He doesn't prevent it from happening. He allows that to exist in the world. Then there's carnal Christians who live for their flesh, and so they do all kinds of stuff that affects us as we're making our way to the other side of the board. And then there's fallen angels that are at work, and then there's angels trying to help us and trying to coach us, trying to encourage us. All of that's taking place as we're moving across the board. And you could say, my goal is to get my big toe across the line and get home free, when I die, I get to go to heaven and all that. But what if you just realize this is the war, this is Stratego, and there's spies, there's false brethren, there's real bombs where you can get really blown out of the water, blown out of the race, but you're moving, and you've never seen God, and He has set this whole thing up. You've got to move from here to here, and it's all by faith. And you've never seen Him. But you start navigating this thing. There's temptation, then there's the pull of your flesh, all that's happening. The war is real, the false brethren are real, the bad teaching is real, false churches, all of that. But you keep moving, and you're getting around that, and you run into that, and you get over it, and you overcome, and you keep moving. But all of a sudden, something changes inside you where you realize, I don't want to just get there by myself. I want to get as many people with me as I can. And so you're not just a conqueror, you're more than a conqueror. You're carrying people who are wounded, and you're helping people, you're coaching people who are struggling in the war. They've been so bombed out that they're not even in the race anymore, and you're picking them up and saying, no, come on, let's go. Let's do this for Jesus. We want Him to be proud of us. And the Lord sits back, and He sees you. You're dodging bombs and bullets and brethren, and you're carrying people, and you're coaching people, and you're helping people, and you've never seen Him. And His chest swells, and He says, look at this guy go. Look at him go. Look at this gal. Look at that. She's not just dodging that and overcoming her flesh and overcoming the enemy and all these things. She's just ran into a pocket of false teaching and she got around that whole thing. Look at her go. She's never seen me, but she lives for me as though she has. And it's everything to him. He draws love from that. He feels like you really love him because you have every option to quit. You have every option just to try to sit this thing out and just get to the point where you just die and you're home free. But instead of that, you're overcoming. You're going through every obstacle. Everything the enemy lobs at you, you just keep going. Plus you're carrying other people, you're getting other people there, and he looks at this whole thing and he says, what I want to do, I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to collect as many of those people as I can who live close to me forever. And we get to be together and talk together and have fellowship together forever and ever and ever. All I want to do is collect those who have had every reason to quit, but they keep going. They've been tempted, they've been lied about, they've been treated badly, and they keep loving, and they keep forgiving, and they keep doing what I said to do, and and now they're this close, and the battle gets even hotter here, and they're this close, and you can believe this, all of heaven is cheering you on, saying, come on, you can make it, you only have this far to go, let's just keep going. Don't stop now, don't stop now. If you could only hear for a moment angels that are constantly saying, come on, you can do this, you're this close, don't stop now, you've just won a major victory, come on, let's keep going. If you could hear them, they're sources of constant encouragement. But this is called stratego. The reason that you are, God designed this whole thing. From the very beginning, he wanted people who were not robots and not puppies. They were people who had a choice. And he says, what I want to do is I want to create a context where they have every choice not to choose me, but they choose me anyway. And though they've never seen me, what I want to do is I want to create a place, a real testing ground, where these people are collected together and they live with me forever and ever and ever and ever. And I want to just surround myself with those kind of people. That's the reason you're here. That's the reason you're in a war. That's the reason God allows all this bad stuff to happen. He's calling out a people to live with him forever. That's why you're going through what you're going through right there. It's stratego. When I saw that, it just helped me to overcome. Because I thought, oh, that's what it's all about? He just wants to see that I want him, regardless. I had a little green Cortina. It was my first nice car. I had a couple junkers, but this was a nice car. It was a little sports car, little British kind of Ford sports car called a Cortina. And Heather was my girlfriend, and she lived on the worst road in the county. It was just filled with potholes, and it was a gravel road, and it was always wet, and it was always a mess. And I didn't want to drive my little sports car down that road because it would begin to rattle, and that car wouldn't last very long. But I loved Heather. She was my main squeeze. She was my girlfriend. And so I had to decide, and I wanted to communicate to her that I wanted her. I wanted her so much that I didn't care. I cared less about the car than I cared about her. And it was a real tension. How much do you like Heather? Well, I like my car. It's my little Cortina. It's a smart-looking little car. But I like her so much, I'm willing to navigate the course and get down that road to be with her. And it convinced her, it spoke to her that I wanted her more than I wanted my car. And I won. Had to get rid of the Cortina. But it spoke to her. Your race, your running, how you navigate this whole thing speaks to God more than you can. It speaks to him. He's not listening for you to say, I love you. He's interested in you showing him that you love him. It's all in the race. Amen? Is that helpful? Good. Let's stop here.